All right, welcome everyone to tonight's meeting of the Clyde Sukeforth chapter of Sabre. I am Bruce McClure, the chapter chair, and we always hold our meetings in conjunction with the Gardner Waterman chapter of Sabre in Vermont. Dr. Clayton Truder, chair. Now, we can do this tonight, so let's go in the traditional manner. Joanne Hulbert, where are you?
I am
You've got
right
a poem
here.
for us.
Yeah, I'm right here in Mudville and ready to blast. Now,
Go.
now I hear that the rumor is that it has something to do with Babe Ruth.
You
Right.
just might be right.
That's right.
Maybe. Okay. And something about farm. That kind of piqued my interest as to what that's all about, right?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So I looked through my file of possible Babe Ruth poems, of which I have 6 pages of, so I had enough to go and look through. And I did find something that was kind of apropos to the subject. So here it is. And I think I've done it before, so maybe you remember it, but it's certainly good to do it again. Anyway, the title is What I'd Like to Be Thankful For. A symposium of Thanksgiving wishes of 5 American celebrities by Babe Ruth. One more home run to beat out Cy Williams? Well, that would have been nice. Beat Harry Heilman for batting honors? That would have been sweet. One more chance at the old pill in the World Series 8th inning. With 3 men on base, say, I'd have given my shirt for one more sock. But if I only had somebody up here on this farm to get out and chop all the wood that's waiting for me, that's what I would like to be thankful for. And that was published I found it anyway, in the Atlantic News Telegraph, November 28th, 1923. There you go.
There you go. That's fabulous. Thank you, Joanne. We appreciate you. Hey, while I've got you, are you working on the next edition of Turnstile?
Well, news is that Turnstile 5 is about to go to press. We keep hearing it'll be out in a week or two, or maybe it'll be out in 2 or 3. In other words, it's very close. I have now put together the address page for all of the contributors, so that's how close we are. And now we are, though, and have been for the last couple of months, gathering up for Turnstile 6. So get in there soon. We already have about 20 pages or so of contributions so far for the next edition. This Turnstile 5 was a little bit, how would you say it? The time went by more slowly than usual because of not so much what we were doing, but all of the other machinations behind the scene about getting it actually laid out and edited and published and finding, getting it in line for the publishing, because they don't do it immediately. They do everything in increments, and like the National Pastime and all of the other publications that Sabre has been putting out, we had to get in line behind them. So that's why we got a little bit behind. But we're marching on, and it should be, now they're saying by the middle of April.
So it's not far off.
Not far off. It's closer than it was last week. Let's put it that
There
way.
you go. It's closer than it was. I love it. It's closer than it was last week. I love
So
it.
if you are thinking of writing up something, just a quick ideas, just to keep it in mind, is that we like to see 1,500 words or less, because we have space issues. We can only do about 100 pages, so we can't do short novels or anything like that. 1,500 words, poetry, memoir, fiction, creative fiction, things along that line, artwork, for instance, and all of that short sort of genre, things that wouldn't go into the national pastime. It's not reportage, and we're not doing like baseball history per se, but we would do it if it was done in a creative way that would not fit into the national pastime. But we're looking for stories, poetry, all sorts of things like that.
Perfect.
Perfect.
You want to get involved with that, send me an email and I will connect you with
Yeah.
Joanne.
Yeah,
Thank you,
and you can
Joanne. I
find
appreciate
me,
you.
find me on the Saber line too. So
There you go.
yeah,
There you
okay.
go. Hey, speaking of 1,500 words or so, Megan Hanna, where are you?
I'm right here.
There you are. How are you this evening?
I'm fine, thank you.
So, talk to me about the newsletter. What's going on?
Let's see. Well, I think we are, I think the spring issue is full at this point. I'm gonna cap it and move on to the summer issue, which so we have about 3 months before the summer one will come out. So there's still plenty of time. Again, we're looking for not just research articles. I mean, certainly we love the research articles. We all love baseball history, but also we'd really just like to hear how people are interacting with the game of baseball. Maybe you're have a great collection of baseball memorabilia. Maybe you have a really interesting autograph and a story behind it. Maybe you went to fantasy camp and you saw a great game. Maybe you went to a playoff game. Fingers crossed we can do that again this year. Anything. We'd be interested in anything.
So, I got to ask while I've got you, has Gus written his article yet?
Gus has not, although he does have a
Okay.
couple of ideas floating
Okay.
around in his head.
Because
So,
I don't like it when Gus writes his before me. I feel bad.
Gus,
Megan, where can folks send submissions?
they could send it to me via email at Megan Hanna. The email address is mfuller, Fuller, Hanna, Hanna at Comcast.net.
Perfect. I appreciate you. Thank you for doing this for us, Megan. We
Oh, no
appreciate you.
problem. It's been a lot of fun. I have really enjoyed reading everybody's work.
Good. That's great to hear. Now we got to get you to a convention.
I will at some point.
Good. All right. Joe Ross, tell me about your favorite entry in Today in Baseball history.
Thank you. And good evening, everyone. And hope you all have a nice April Fool's Day tomorrow.
It's not tomorrow.
One of the things that's not in today's history is that Ranger Suarez is making his Red Sox debut tonight. But that's not in today's history because I don't think it's worthy of that. Today's item comes, excuse me, from 1993, and it's a home run. It's the first home run of a career. And it's after a 43-year career because Charlie Brown hit a home run. He's been in 18,000 strips, 1,800 of which focused on baseball, and this was his first and only career home run. And that's the most important thing that happened today in baseball history. And you can get this story.
I remember that so well. Thank you, Joe. How do we get the newsletter? Oh, that's great.
Megan and Joanne, you can feel free to take that and put it into your newsletters. Meanwhile, to subscribe, normal subscription, if you're not a Saber member, which probably is nobody listening right now, it's $15.95. If it's a Saber member, it's only $10, which gets you a full year, including leap year, if that happens, by sending an email to me, Jande Ross, J and E Ross for Joe and Esther, just so you straighten it out, at gmail.com, and I'll get you all the right details. And that's Today in Baseball.
So I just pulled up this is the best I can do for it. Not sure if anybody can see that, but you see, I hit a home run in the ninth inning and we won. I was the hero. And his sister says, "You?" That's one of my favorite Charlie Brown strips. I love it. Hey, Jeff, tell me what's going on with the podcast, would you please?
Thank you, Bruce. Yes. The last episode we released was with LA Dodger and Fox broadcaster Joe Davis. And actually, It was less than an hour, the whole episode. So it's a short one this week. Usually it goes much longer than that, but this week it is the Joe Davis. You hear him, the voice of the World Series, the playoffs, and the Los Angeles Dodgers. And this week coming up, it's going to be the New York Yankee broadcaster, Susan Waldman. She's also a great, pioneer for women in broadcasting. So that's what's coming up on Baseball and BBQ on all your favorite podcast apps. And Bruce, if you allow me to toot my own horn for a second,
Absolutely.
please. Len and I have been selected to present at the Cooperstown Symposium.
Oh, congratulations. This is great news.
Yes, so we are looking forward to that. It's May 27th to the 29th. We are going to be speaking on the 28th at about 2:30. And anybody in Cooperstown that day, please come on by.
So what is your presentation? Can you talk about it here?
Yes, it is called Easy Yes. Fun Yes, Easy No. Doing a independent baseball podcast, one episode at a time. So we're going to talk about the origins of the podcast and how it grew from talking into a telephone, putting the mic to the telephone to do interviews, to what we do now and all the guests we've had and how we've grown. So yes, we're going to be doing that on the 28th.
So you know what I'm going to ask you.
What's that?
You know what's coming.
What's coming?
Yeah, you are going to be a guest on one of our meetings in the fall where you and Len are going to do that for us, I hope.
You got it.
All right.
You
I'll get a hold of you. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
So the Pocket Picture app is something that chapter member Joshua Guptill has come up with after years of using apps like Game Changer that tend to be hitter-centric. Pocket Picture is designed primarily for youth and travel ball. It offers game tracking focused solely on pitcher performance, deep analytics reporting, and some of the coolest and most innovative custom reporting available. Joshua is looking for some Sabre members to test it out for him. For more information, send him an email at joshua.guptel, Guptel, at thomas.edu. He would welcome some of our members to help him out with that. All right, here we go. On to our feature presentation. In 1922, the Great Bambino, who craved the New York nightlife, bought a farm in the quiet New England town of Sudbury, Massachusetts. Biographies of Babe Ruth devote only a few pages to the years he spent on that farm while he was with the Yankees. This presentation offers a more complete picture of Ruth's time in Sudbury by piecing together newspaper accounts and interviews from the 1920s, as well as conversations with residents who encountered Ruth. The presentation chronicles his introduction to Sudbury, dating back to his time with the Red Sox and events that favored his purchase of the Perry farm. Sabre member Michael Kane is a longtime resident of Sudbury, Massachusetts, and friend of our chapter. He has been a Sabre member since 2018 and contributes posts to the Sabre baseball card blog site and was a speaker at Sabre 52 in 2024. Michael Kane, welcome back to Northern New England. How are you?
Great. Thank you. Thanks everyone for tuning in here. Again, I'm a longtime resident of Sudbury and currently live in Sudbury. If people on the phone or on the call don't know where Sudbury is, it's 20 miles west of Boston. The events and places I'm going to talk about during this presentation are less than 2 miles from my front door. I searched the major biographies of Ruth and did a lot of online searching about his time in Sudbury and really didn't come up with much. Probably the most pages that I found in a biography were in Jane Levy's book, The Big Fellow, but she took a lot of the information from the book there on the far right that Garfield wrote about the history of Sudbury, and there's a chapter on Ruth, and a lot of that material is in Levy's book. I think everyone knows here that Ruth started his career with the Red Sox. He was Ohtani before there was an Ohtani, and in 1914 was his rookie year with the Sox. This is a picture. Ruth is over on the hand corner in the last row. Many of the teammates on the Red Sox were familiar with Sudbury. During this time, there were only 1,200 people in Sudbury. A lot of open land, a lot of farmland. There was a lot of good hunting and fishing, and many of the players had cottages or rented cottages on the Willis Pond area of Sudbury, and that's where Ruth rented a cottage as well. Doing a search, I found in the Sudbury Enterprise a couple of articles, one from 1917 and one from 1918 about Ruth being in Sudbury. Again, there's a reference to the Willis Pond area, and also the article in 1918 refers to Ruth being as husky as a bear. This is a picture I took recently of Willis Pond. Looks much the same as when Ruth would have been on the pond. Ruth rented a cottage on one on Lakeshore Drive and one on Butler Road. On one of the cottages, there was a lot of Indian references in Sudbury. The Kim Phillip Wars were around this area, and one of the signs on one of the cottages he had was "I hate to quit it" was the name of the cottage. Now we move a little bit to when Ruth was on the Yankees, and there was a ruling in place that if you were on the team that won the World Series, that you couldn't barnstorm. So that was a ruling at the time. The theory was that you got the winner's share, and that you couldn't make any more money barnstorming. Ruth defied Judge Landis. He was banned until May 20th, 1922. And during that year, he also had 3 additional suspensions, 2 with altercations with umpires, and 1 where he charged into the up into the stands, chasing a fan who was heckling him. I found this article from the Boston Globe, April 30th, 1922, talking about Ruth. And again, this is he's suspended at this point in time. Talks about him purchasing the house in Sudbury on 558 Dutton Road. It was the house came with a garage and pens for hens. And in this picture, no doubt it's a little bit of staged. He looks like one of the Lord of the Manor from Downton Abbey, and also Warren Zevon reference, "I'd like to meet his tailor." In the article, he talks about fixing up the house and that he's going to move in after the season is over. And he says to the photographer, "Keep the slide because it's going to look a great deal better when I get done with it." What's notable here is that the article was from the 30th of April, and he'd probably be leasing the house. The actual purchase and sale for this did not take place until June of 1923. It was known in Sudbury at the time as the Perry Farm. Perrys have a long history in Sudbury. Some of the building dates back to 1737, but at this point in time, John McCrillis owned the property. As you can imagine, Ruth's numbers fell quite dramatically in 22 in terms of the number of games that he played. Home runs, RBIs dropped, and his average dropped considerably. Found this article from the New York Times on November 15th, 1922. His handler and business manager, Christy Walsh, put together a dinner in New York for the baseball writers. And during that dinner, Jimmy Walker was the state senator at the time, and then also the future mayor of New York, asked Ruth, "Will you not, for the kids of America, solemnly promise to mend your ways?" And Ruth responded that tomorrow, I want to tell the New York newspapers and the fans that I've had my last drink until the middle of next October, and that isn't any loose crack. Tomorrow I'm going to my farm. I'm going to work my head off and perhaps part of my stomach. Maybe now and then I'll come down to New York to see the old town, but it won't be often. I'm in earnest about this. I'm going to work hard, and then you watch me break that home run record next year. There's a lot, if you collect sports memorabilia, there's a lot of interest in photo matching. So if you have a bat from a particular game and you need to, it's worth a little bit more if you can match it to a photo where the player was using it during that game as an example. But I searched Getty Images and found a series of images where Ruth was wearing the same clothes. This was a sidebar article that was in the Kansas City Post. And if you go up to the Getty Images site and type in Babe Ruth Farm, you'll find a bunch of images. You also find some videos. And one thing of caution is some of the dates on the images and videos are not correct. These were some of the short videos that are up there, little snippets. They're very short, 20 seconds or so. And these were probably used for intermissions, maybe during movies at the time. That's my thought about how they were used. This article appeared in the Boston Globe on January 14th, 1923. And Ruth was snowed in, at the house. He couldn't get his car out, so he hitched up his sleigh to a horse and came down to South Sudbury. In the article, it talks about him. It says he was taking off weight with a vengeance by chopping wood, hard as nails, carrying 215 pounds, 20 pounds lighter than last winter. There's a lot of these type of articles about him doing manual labor, farm labor that you'll find out there. He went to Bradshaw's General Store, and on working the store at the time was Charlie Spiller. And I know his grandson, Wayne Spiller, and asked Wayne if there were any other stories he had from his grandfather about running into Babe Ruth. And one that he remembered was that his grandfather also played cards with Ruth. Bradshaw's store, the building still stands. There's a picture of it on Route 20 in Sudbury. It's now a real estate agency. It's a Revisi agency building. Doing some work on the farm or spending some time there anyway proved very productive for Ruth from a baseball perspective. Played in a lot more games, obviously. 41 home runs, 131 RBIs, and almost hit 400 in 23. This is another article that appeared in the Globe on December 3rd, 1923. Again, you can see the outfits Ruth is wearing. Talks about the Bambino is in great shape. The greatest player in baseball has no vaudeville contracts, no hunting trips in mind, no automobile tours, and none of the other things that caused him to get in print in other years. Ruth is quoted as saying, "This is the life. It is different from gazing at the bright lights, being worshipped as a hero, and away from the hubbub of city life." maybe not so fast from city life. I found another article that Ruth outfitted his Packard with a 55-gallon tank so he wouldn't have to fill up going from Sudbury to New York City, and the trip took 5.5 hours. I came across an interview with Merton Haskell, who as a kid became friends with Ruth. He lived on the farm next to Ruth's farm. Ruth called his farm home plate. And in the article, Haskell is quoted as, "The ball players used to come out for parties all the time," said Haskell. "I'm sure most of them were Yankees. I don't remember the parties as being that wild. There was some drinking and there was usually some liquor around the house, but I think Babe was wilder when he was on the road. I used to get invited to the parties, and sometimes Babe would put me to work washing dishes. Mrs. Ruth and their daughter Dorothy were always around as well. I think Babe came here mostly to escape. I never saw him drunk." Haskell also talked about Ruth hosting outings for busloads of kids from different orphanages in the area once or twice a year. And he did this for all the years that he owned the farm, according to Haskell. This is a image that I came across on the Getty site, and it just really struck me. It's probably the my favorite image of Ruth, not in a ball player's uniform. You could see the house in the background. What's interesting is that Bruce had hosted a Sabre meeting with Brent Stevens, who was the great grandson of Babe Ruth. And when I asked him about if he had visited the farm, he talked about some of the images that he saw, and he mentioned this one as being one of his favorites, but he hasn't been out to the farm to do any kind of a visit. Here's some other images from different publications. Again, you could see the various outfits. And one of the things that Haskell said is, "I helped Babe trick the newspaper men sometimes. They were always coming out to the farm to talk to Babe and take pictures, and Babe would show them how well he was staying in shape by chopping down trees. But what really happened was that I started chopping the tree down before they got there. Then Babe would chop some, and the newspaper guys would take pictures. Then when they left, I would finish chopping it down." There weren't, there was, Ruth got into a little bit of trouble in Sudbury. This was an article that I came across that appeared in multiple papers. This one is from the Marion Evening Post in Illinois, September 9th, 1925. Ruth had some prize pit bulls, and they got loose. The prize winner, Dot, killed a pedigreed cow on an adjoining farm, and Ruth had to pay a $5,000 fine. And then the buster broke out also and killed a flock of chickens. And unfortunately, we had a Christy Gnome outburst from Babe, and he shot both of the dogs. This was a pair of articles that I also found here about when the farm was being sold, that there was a neighbor that Mr. Joyce was a carpenter who lived near Ruth, but did some work on the farm and wasn't paid. So he put an $800 lien on the property. That was in February 27th, 1926. Fast forward a few months, unfortunately, Mr. Joyce died of a heart attack, but it looked like it was the payment was still outstanding. So I don't think I don't know if they ever made good or not. Hopefully the widow got the $800. This was another article that came that from April 13th, 1926, that Ruth had 2 arrest warrants out that were issued to him for failure to pay tax bills from 23 and 24. And his defense at the time was that he wasn't a resident of Sudbury during that time, so he didn't owe the taxes. This is a current photo of the home plate farm. I remember it from the late 60s when I first saw it, and it was pretty much, I remember it in a state of disrepair. The Atkinsons had owned it. They also ran a business out of it. They made soil testing kits. The Gavins purchased it in 1984 and really renovated the house and the adjoining barn, and they sold it in 2013. And one day when they owned the house, Ruth's daughter stopped by to see the house, and Dennis Gavin rolled up the corner of the rug in the living room and exposed some deep burns in the hardwood floor. And he asked Dorothy if she had an idea what those were, and she said that that was a spot where Ruth used to hold her, tapping his still glowing pipe embers onto the floor, much to his wife's dismay. This is another shot of the house. Again, it's on Dutton Road. It's did a great job in terms of renovating it. This next shot, and if you remember that first Boston Globe article that I showed you where Ruth was dropping a line in a pond, and this is pretty much the same spot. This is probably 100 yards from the home plate farmhouse. And so again, this is Pratt's Pond. It's very much like it would have been in Ruth's time. And things just don't change. When I was there, there were 3 boys fishing in the pond. So this is a picture of, we talked about Merton Haskell, just up the road from Ruth's old house is Haskell Field. It's a area now where they have soccer games and baseball practices. A lot of nice wide open space there. And now we come to probably the most, what I feel is far too many articles on this subject about the Ruth piano in Willis Pond. These are supposedly some of the pieces of the piano that Kevin Kennedy found back in 2010. These are at the Sudbury Historical Society, and the story goes that while Ruth was down on Willis Pond in the off season, there was a party, and the lake or the pond at that time was frozen over, and they decided to push the piano out to the middle of the pond and carry on with the party. They tried to get it back up to the cottage, but it didn't work out, so they left it there, and the piano sunk into the lake as the ice melted. So also came across another article that in 1973, some high school students were trying to clean up some of the debris at Willis Pond. I knew about the piano, took some of the pieces, the metal pieces of the piano, and used it for another project. And then they tried to burn the piano, but because it was so waterlogged, it didn't take. So they chopped it up and put the pieces, threw the pieces into the pond. Now, is it really that Ruth piano? Nobody will ever really know for sure, but that's any kind of the urban legend or myth. And unfortunately, from my perspective, there's far too many stories about this searching for the wooden piano where there are what I think a lot of other stories about Ruth being in Sudbury. I've uncovered a few, but I'm sure that there's far more that out there that I'd like to hear about and learn about. In the I guess in the vein of you can't make this stuff up. Henry Ford was roaming around Sudbury. Again, it's a 1,200 people community at the same time that Ruth was. He purchased the Wayside Inn in 1923 and renovated it, brought in some, built the grist mill, Martha Mary Chapel, if you're familiar with the area. There were some other buildings that he built, a school for boys as well. And marks me as kind of like incredible that two of the most well-known figures at that time in the world were both in this tiny town of Sudbury, which it's a little bit crazy when you think about it. These were the sources that I used. Again, the biographies. One of the benefits of being a SABR member is you get you're able to access newspapers.com for free, right? So that was extremely valuable. I subscribed to the Times and the Globe, so I was able to access their archives. Sudbury had, the library had a archive of some of the papers there that I used and referenced in this article, and of course did some Google searches as well. But happy to take questions. Hope everybody could see the slides. Hope that came out okay.
Came out great.
Okay.
Came out great. If you have a question for our presenter, Mike Kane, tonight, go down to the bottom of the screen and hit the react button. Once you hit that button, you'll see another button marked raise hand. Raise your hand and we'll get you in line to ask questions of Michael tonight. Something just came up in the chat. Hang on. Ryan McClanahan in the chat. I've heard that Babe Ruth now haunts Miles Standish Hall at Boston University. Do you have any information on that, Mike?
Didn't come across that. No. Don't.
I have been told that I haunt the halls at Herald Square's Macy's in New York City, but I'm not sure it's the same fun way. I think it's mostly people are thrilled that I'm gone. Karen Holleran, save me. You're up. How are you, Karen?
Fine. I wanted to know, very nice presentation. Do you have any information or a rumor or any information that you found that was new and that was surprising to you?
Well, so I mean, like Thoreau always said, explore your backyard, right? So and this was all in my backyard. I thought some of the information around the Willis Pond area was interesting. I hadn't been down there in years, right? So when I went down to take the picture, it had kind of dramatically changed from my high school days, I think, were the last time I was down there. There were a lot of these like small cottages because again, it was a hunting and fishing area. They've been raised or expanded upon, so that they're not there, unfortunately. I thought the information about him, the pit bulls being shot, not paying the carpenter were interesting, and the arrest warrants as well. And then I think I was actually familiar with the house, but I think the Gavins, when they owned it, did an incredible job, renovating it, and that whole area has changed too since I was a kid. So that was pretty wide open. I think the farm that Ruth purchased was about 160 acres. Of course, the Gavins didn't own all of that property, but I think when the Gavins bought it, it was still pretty wide open, and now it's all around. It's all developed. I think I'm not sure how big the Gavin plot is. It's probably only an acre or so.
Okay, well, thank you.
Sean Moore just answered that question in the chat that Mark put up. He was asking about the address of the farm, 558 Dutton Road, Sudbury, Mass. So there you go, Mark.
Right.
Hey, Dixie, you're up. How you doing, Dix?
I'm doing fine. Mike, the great presentation. My question is about one of the photographs, the second or third or fourth, maybe fourth picture you showed. Babe Ruth sitting in the stands with people behind him.
Yeah.
Do you have any background information on that particular photograph? Because it looks like it was taken with a digital camera last week.
No, well,
It's
it
100
was,
years old.
was originally a black and white photo, right? And somebody digitized, not when that digitized it, colorized it, did the coloring. So you'll find a black and white photo of that out there, and I just like the color version, that I was able to find by doing a search.
It's a fantastic photograph.
Yeah,
Good
I
stuff.
like I really like the one of him on the wagon, in front of the horse.
Yeah.
That's just an awesome photo.
Good stuff. Hey, Sean Moore, how you doing?
Doing good. Thank you.
It's all yours.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you, Michael, for the presentation. It was really fun. I don't really have a question, but more of a comment. So I live about 45 minutes from Home Plate Farm. I live in New Hampshire, but right on the border. And
But you live on the right side of the border, Sean, so that's okay. Go on.
yeah. So several years ago, I got obsessed with Home Plate Farm and Willis Pond and the Curse of the Bambino and the piano being at the bottom there and everything. And on a lark, a friend of mine and we went swinging Willis Pond looking for the piano. We knew we weren't going to find it. And subsequently, Jane Levy, the author of
Right,
The
right.
Big Fella and all that, she sent me a link to an article she wrote about the piano and the Curse of the Bambino. And this was all article was based on research she did for, the Big Fella book, but it never made it into the book. But it's the article she really researched and found out, what actually happened to the piano and all that. And it's the best thing I've ever read
Oh, really?
on
Okay.
that. And I
Yeah.
posted the link that she sent me to the
Okay.
article
Okay.
in the chat here. If you're interested in this sort of thing, it's a really fun read.
Yeah, definitely interested in it. I did find there's just a ton of articles out there on it and
Yeah,
stuff. So I'd like to see her perspective on it as well. Yeah.
that's right. There's a ton of articles on there, and by far the best one is Jane Levy. She kind of like,
Okay.
cuts through all the stuff and
Yeah.
found out what really happened.
Right. Okay. Good.
And hopefully Sean and Michael can get connected directly and get that article over to Michael. Let's go to the editor of the fine newsletter of the Elysian Fields chapter, the 11th Street Eagle. It's Craig Garrettson is here. How you doing, Craig?
Hello, how you doing?
Good, man. It's all yours. Go get them.
Around here in North Jersey, just about any restaurant that was built before, I guess, 1940 will have some sort of Babe Ruth picture or some kind of story about how Babe Ruth, had a stake there or something. And I'm wondering if in Sudbury there's any, how many local stores say kind of like George Washington slept here. How many places, Babe Ruth had a drink here, or Babe Ruth had a steak here.
Yeah. Well, you saw that the Bradshaw's General Store is still
Yeah.
standing. There was a catty corner, like almost across the street. There was another general store that I know that he stopped into that is gone. But I also talked to sort of like the historian of the over at the Wayside Inn to see if there were any pictures of Ruth at the Wayside Inn. This guy's done like, I don't know, 4 or 5 books of photos on the Wayside Inn. He didn't come across any, which I found a little strange either. But
And didn't George Washington stay at the Wayside Inn for real?
I think he did, or he passed by there.
Yeah,
There
something
was a
like that.
stagecoach route, as well. Like I said, the cottages that Ruth would have stayed in on Willis Lake, they're not there anymore, um, either. So
I don't know if it's in Jane Levy's book or in the Kramer book, but there's a story that Ruth would always pay by check because he knew people wouldn't cash it; they would frame it and put it on the wall. So I don't know if there's any Babe Ruth checks framed in
I don't know.
Sudbury.
I don't know, but he did in that article, where he went into Bradshaw's store, he did pay by check. So I think Charlie Spiller though cashed the check, I'm sure,
So we talk about towns and structures around New England that can say, hey, George Washington slept here, George Washington ate here, or whatnot. I live in Concord, New Hampshire, of course. And from what I understand so far around here, the best we can do is Franklin Pierce is buried somewhere in this town, but I'm not exactly sure where. Joe Ross, save me, man. Go.
I'll try. Michael, great presentation. Thank you very much. It was very, very enjoyable. When Craig mentioned a restaurant, I immediately thought of a restaurant in Sudbury that was one of my very, very favorites because it was an all-you-can-eat lobster place. I think they're long since out of business, and it's been many, many years since I was there, but I can remember having lobster, steak, clams, wonderful restaurant. I wish it was still there. I'd be there every week.
Yeah, no. I mean, the Wayside Inn's still good food if you like what kind of American food. I enjoy it. It's always consistent. I think it's always good. They have a great lunch. I see
See
some
what you get
folks
with
from
this chapter,
Sudbury on
folks?
there. I see some folks from Sudbury on the line. If anybody else wants to chirp up, I see Rich and Dave and Kevin. So I don't know if you have any memories of the Atkinson farm or not that you want to share.
Thanks to Jeff Cohen, who just made a good point. He helped me out when I had Jane Levy on. It rhymes with heavy, according to her. So, Jane, if you're watching, people do this to you. We know that. We're sorry. It happens. How many times have I mispronounced the name in one of these meetings? It's up to the thousands now. But with this chapter, not only do you get great baseball researchers and authors and whatnot, like Mike here or Jane Levy, well, you get food recommendations too. Nowhere do you get that in Sabre. I mean, come on. Ryan McClanahan in the chat. Oh, here we go. Of course, Ryan's going to tell me where Franklin Pierce is buried. Franklin Pierce is at the Old North Cemetery in Concord, which is actually just down the street from me. And he's going to give you a food recommendation too. But Concord is a great place called the Red Arrow Diner, which I hope to be buried at. Ryan, I'm going to go on record here saying that I would suggest you're not buried at the Red Arrow Diner, because on the other side of it is a mobile gas station, and that's not really a great resting place for an esteemed member of Sabre and the fashion plate of our chapter like you. And I would also recommend the Post out on Fisherville Road if you want a good breakfast. All right, Mike, you're fantastic. Hey, let's do this again next week, April 6th, with Scott Molesky and his presentation, My Baseball Story, the Game's Influence on America. The sign-up link is available in the chapter meeting booklet and at the Sabre events calendar. And finally, if you're a baseball fan watching on YouTube and you like what you see, please like this video and subscribe to our channel to be alerted to each of our weekly uploads. And if you are not yet a member, why not? You need to join the Society for American Baseball Research, the premier baseball community, offering an amazing baseball buffet of options to explore your fandom. Sabre boasts more than 35 different research committees, over 80 regional chapters, and innumerable opportunities to connect with baseball minds across the world, just like Michael Kane. For more information, go to sabre.org today. Hey, Mike, I can't thank you enough for doing this. Appreciate you.
Thanks everyone for joining.
We appreciate everybody coming out. Let's get you in front of the TV to watch a little baseball tonight. We'll see you next week. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye now.